Things change fast in the NFL. What felt like an urgent top of the list need just a couple of months ago can suddenly drop to near irrelevance. And that's exactly what's happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now as training camp heats up and preseason inches closer. The priorities inside that building are shifting. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes. The Steelers' biggest issues back in the spring don't quite match what they're dealing with in early August. Let's rewind for a second. Not long ago, quarterback was the loudest, most glaring concern in Pittsburgh by a mile. The fan base was divided, the analysts were restless, and inside the organization, the pressure was real. But then came Aaron Rodgers. Now, regardless of what you think of him, his arrival brought clarity, stability, and most importantly, results. His demeanor, his command, and his influence on the locker room have made an immediate difference, both on the field and behind the scenes. Rodgers might not be the long-term future, but in terms of right now, the guy has settled a situation that once felt borderline chaotic. But Rodgers didn't arrive alone. The Steelers also brought in Mason Rudolph and Will Howard, creating a quarterback room that's suddenly deep, competitive, and shockingly calm. So, what used to be the team's greatest headache has morphed into one of its strongest foundations heading into the season. Naturally, when one fire gets put out, the focus shifts elsewhere. And once the quarterback situation looked solid, the conversation immediately turned to two positions, wide receiver and slot corner. That's when the front office really went to work. Enter the Miami trade. Minkah Fitzpatrick goes back to the Dolphins, and in return, the Steelers land a game-changing pieces, John Smith and Jalen Ramsey. Smith, a proven pass catcher with 88 receptions last season, adds instant firepower to the offense, and Ramsey, he's not just filling a gap in the slot. He's transforming the entire secondary, bringing versatility, leadership, and a level of coverage that Pittsburgh hasn't seen in years. Schematically, it opens doors the team couldn't touch before. With Ramsey's ability to move all over the field, it gives the defense flexibility to disguise coverages, shut down top threats, and actually dictate terms to opposing offenses. That trade didn't just fill needs, it elevated the standard. So, here we are, in early August, watching a defense that looks more and more dominant with every practice. Friday night lights, they balled out. Weekend sessions at St. Vincent, more of the same. It's starting to feel like this group might not just be good, they might be special. Which brings us back to wide receiver 2. Is that really still the top issue on offense? A few weeks ago, that was a question with an obvious answer. The team needed another guy next to DK Metcalf. Someone reliable, someone explosive, someone proven. But now it's not so black and white. Even for those of us who've been banging the drum all off-season for a true WR2, it's getting harder to make the same argument. The urgency just isn't there like it was before, and more importantly, it doesn't seem like the Steelers feel that urgency either. Reports surfaced this weekend that Pittsburgh made calls about Terry McLaurin, and that makes sense. He's a legit WR1 anywhere he goes. But McLaurin reportedly made it clear he only wants to land somewhere he'll be the top guy. That's not going to happen in Pittsburgh, not with Metcalf locked in. So, the Steelers backed off. They also took a look at Gabe Davis, another talented name. But he's still dealing with a significant knee issue. He visited, they evaluated, and the conclusion was simple. The health's just not there. What does that tell us? Well, first, it shows that Omar Khan is still working the phones. He's not asleep at the wheel, he's exploring options. And second, it tells us that the team still has the flexibility, cap space, draft picks, you name it, to make a move if the right opportunity pops up. But nothing's happened. No WR2. And maybe that's because the real concern isn't wide out anymore. Maybe it's something more pressing. Maybe it's time to shift the spotlight again, this time to the offensive line, specifically tackle. Let's just call it what it is. The Steelers need help at tackle, and not just for depth. They need a real option. Broderick Jones hasn't taken the leap in camp that fans were hoping for. He looks, well, kind of like he looked last season. That's not necessarily a disaster, but it's not a great sign either. You want to see growth. You want to see confidence. So far, it hasn't shown up. Then there's Calvin Anderson, the veteran backup who was expected to give the Steelers some insurance on both ends of the line. He got hurt over the weekend, and the way Mike Tomlin phrased it, Anderson isn't just dealing with the day-to-day issue. He and Corey Trice are the only two players on the roster currently considered to be out longer term. That's not the kind of injury report you want to tackle. That's not a sore ankle. That's week to week, or maybe worse. Even if Anderson manages to return soon. Let's be honest about what he brings. He's 29 years old. He hasn't started more than 7 games in any NFL season. He's bounced around. And he's not the kind of player you want to lean on for significant stretches, especially in a division as brutal as the AFC North. So, let's look at the depth chart. Behind Jones and Troy Fautanu, you've got Anderson injured, Dylan Cook, and a handful of other names that, if we're being real, most fans couldn't pick out of a lineup. That's not depth, that's a gamble. That's hoping nobody gets hurt, nobody regresses, and nobody gets overwhelmed when the real bullets start flying in September. That's not good enough. I get it. Finding a legit offensive tackle isn't like ordering from Amazon. These guys don't grow on trees. Nobody's in a hurry to give up quality linemen, and the price is always steep money, picks, or both. But at some point, the Steelers have to look at the roster and ask a hard question. Are we really going to enter the 2025 season with this glaring of a hole? Because let's be clear, if something happens to Broderick or Fautanu, this offense is in trouble. It doesn't matter how many weapons you have. It doesn't matter how creative Arthur Smith wants to be. If your quarterback doesn't have time, the whole thing crumbles. No WR2 is going to fix that. And that's where the conversation circles back. We keep talking about adding another wide receiver. But what about protecting the ones you've got? What about protecting your quarterback? What about creating real lanes for the run game? All of that starts up front. That's the pivot the Steelers should be making right now, not away from offense, but toward its foundation. Forget splash plays. Forget name recognition. Go get a tackle, a real one. Sure, it's not sexy. It won't dominate the headlines. But it could be the difference between making the playoffs and watching them from home. And the good news, Pittsburgh has the cap room. They've got extra draft capital. They've got the flexibility to act. So what are we waiting for? It's easy for me to point fingers. I know, I'm not the one negotiating contracts or evaluating film, but from the outside looking in, the writing's on the wall. This team is closer than it's been in years. The defense is stacked. The skill positions are deep. Even the quarterback situation is stable. The last real soft spot is at tackle. And if the front office is as serious as they say they are about competing right now, not in 2026, not in some vague future, then the move needs to come soon. The wide receiver conversation won't completely die down, of course. It never does, especially not in a league driven by big plays and highlight reels. But the more you analyze this Pittsburgh offense, the more it feels like wide receiver has become a luxury item, not a necessity. And that's largely because of how Arthur Smith is structuring this scheme. This isn't going to be the kind of offense that relies on 1 or 2 guys racking up 12 targets a game. It's going to be wide open, adaptable, and most importantly, diverse. We're talking about an offensive coordinator who just ran out of formation for tight ends and no running backs. He's not playing by the old rulebook. He's reinventing this playbook in real time, using every tool he's got. Look at the target pool. You've got DK Metcalf, obviously. He's the alpha. He's going to get his 8 or 9 looks a game, and he's going to demand double teams. That alone creates space for everyone else. Calvin Austin might be listed as WR3 on the depth chart, but that's not how he's being used. He's getting open, he's getting fed, and he's clearly earned trust within the offense. That makes him more like a 2B than a 3. Then you add in the tight ends John Smith, Pat Freiermuth, and Darnell Washington. And listen, don't sleep on Darnell. The guy isn't out there just to block. He's getting reps, getting targets, and making plays. Arthur Smith is using him as a real weapon, not a novelty. Add Connor Hayward to that mix, who's always been a sneaky good pass catcher. And suddenly you've got a group of tight ends that might outproduce the receiving corps in some games. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have begun to swirl around the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, igniting a wildfire of speculation that could reshape the entire landscape of the NFL. Rumors suggest that Tyreek Hill, the electrifying wide receiver known for his blazing speed and game-changing plays, is poised to become the most monumental signing in the history of the Steelers. The mere mention of Hill's name sends shockwaves through fan bases and analysts alike, as his potential addition would signify a seismic shift in the team's offensive strategy and aspiration. For years, the Steelers have been admired for their hard-nosed defense and balanced attack. But the prospect of Hill joining their ranks signals a possible transformation into an offense, fueled by explosive, high-octane talent. Insiders hint that negotiations have been intense behind closed doors, with Pittsburgh willing to offer a deal that surpasses anything previously seen. In their franchise history, the financial implications alone are enough to fuel endless discussion, as securing Hill would require an unprecedented commitment, both in salary cap and future assets. This possible acquisition is not merely about adding another player. It's about making a statement to the league and to the fans that the Steelers are ready to compete at the highest level, with one of the most dynamic offensive weapons ever to grace the gridiron. The potential signing of Tyreek Hill by the Steelers raises countless questions about how the team's offensive identity might evolve in the near future. Hill, renowned for his ability to stretch defenses and create big plays out of seemingly nothing, could revolutionize the Steelers' passing game, which has traditionally relied on a mix of physicality and precision rather than sheer speed and flash. Speculation suggests that the Steelers could finally embrace a more aggressive aerial attack, one designed around Hill's unique skill set to maximize yards after the catch and deep threat capabilities. Analysts theorize that Hill's presence could force defensive coordinators around the league to rethink their game plans against Pittsburgh, as his speed and agility present challenges that few defenders can match. The rumors also sparked debate about how the Steelers' existing receivers and quarterback would adapt to this potential addition. Would the team's offensive coordinator alter the playbook to prioritize Hill's talents, or would he be integrated as a complementary piece to an already balanced scheme? The possibility of Hill donning the iconic black and gold jersey has fans buzzing about highlight reel plays, record-breaking seasons, and perhaps even a shot at returning to Super Bowl glory. Financially, the implications of signing Tyreek Hill could represent a historic moment not just for the Steelers, but for the entire franchise landscape of the NFL. Rumors indicate that the Steelers' front office is prepared to offer a contract package that eclipses all previous deals, signaling their intent to secure a transformative talent at any cost. This move could alter the team's salary cap dynamics, forcing difficult decisions about other key players or future draft picks. Insiders speculate that the negotiation process has been protracted and complex, reflecting Hill's status as one of the league's premier offensive threats, and the Steelers' ambition to build a championship-caliber roster. The possibility of such a major financial commitment has caused ripples among sports economists and team strategists, who debate the long-term sustainability of investing so heavily in one player. Yet, many believe that the gamble might be worth it if Hill's explosive playmaking ability translates into wins and ultimately a championship. This financial gamble adds another layer of intrigue to the unfolding saga, as fans and pundits alike await confirmation or denial of what would be a landmark moment in Steelers history. Amidst all the speculation, the cultural impact of Tyreek Hill potentially joining the Steelers cannot be underestimated. Hill's reputation extends beyond his on-field prowess. He embodies a dynamic, fearless style of play that resonates with younger generations of fans who crave excitement and innovation in football. Rumors suggest that his arrival could energize the Steelers' fan base, creating a surge in ticket sales, merchandise, and overall enthusiasm around the team. This buzz is particularly potent, given the Steelers' storied history and passionate fan culture, which often centers on loyalty and tradition. Hill's potential signing represents a bridge between that rich past and a bold, fast-paced future, promising to attract new followers and re-engage longtime supporters. Conversations among fan forums and social media channels highlight the anticipation and hope that Hill's addition could mark a new era of Steelers football, one defined by thrilling plays and sustained success. While nothing is confirmed, the excitement generated by these rumors is palpable, fueling discussions in sports bars, living rooms, and online communities across the country. Finally, the ripple effects of Tyreek Hill's rumored signing with the Steelers extend far beyond Pittsburgh city limits, potentially reshaping the competitive balance of the NFL. If these whispers prove true, other franchises may feel pressure to respond by pursuing similar marquee acquisitions or doubling down on their own offensive strategies to keep pace. The Steelers' bold move could trigger a domino effect in free agency and trade markets, as teams scramble to secure elite talent to match the new standards set by Pittsburgh. Speculation runs wild about how rival teams might adjust their defensive schemes to counter Hill's speed and creativity, while offensive coordinators might look for comparable game changers to avoid falling behind. This possible signing also revitalizes debates about the evolving nature of football, where speed and athleticism increasingly dominate the narrative. The buzz surrounding Hill and the Steelers captures the imagination of fans and analysts nationwide, as the league braces for what could be one of the most exciting and transformative periods in recent memory. Whether or not the deal materializes, the mere possibility has already left an indelible mark on the NFL's off-season storylines. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.